So this is the first time that I've decided to record myself talking about some things on my mind, some things that I've been dealing with over quite some time. Just like probably a billion of you out there. And it's just like today I reached a point where I got an epiphany. My epiphany is that I realized, something about myself, that I'm not living my truth. And the reason why I say that is because I think I have been, or I have been thinking that I have been living my truth. It's actually something that's really important to me. But today I had the epiphany about why I'm not. And it came through, not in this calm state, it came through in a very traumatic way. And it came through in a message that I got where somebody was telling me that I don't have good energy and that I'm negative, and basically they were just telling me something that I know wasn't true. And I think we've all had that in our life where we're told something that we know is not true, and then we might even go back to the drawing board and say, well, how can I change that? How can I make sure that it's not perceived that way or represented that way? But that wasn't this case. Today I received a message that wasn't true, but also I know that the other person also knew it wasn't true, and I know that I have been living the opposite. So the message was telling me that I have a very negative energy, and I actually know that I have a very positive energy. Not by proof, not by anything. It's just a knowing that I have. I've been on quite a mission to make sure that I do hold that energy. I know what it's like to be in a negative energy, and I have been there, and I have been in a very negative energy before. I know that I'm nowhere near there. I know that this accusation message came across not from what's true to me, and also not what their perception is, but actually it came from what they think of themselves or what they would like to think. Point is, it's got nothing to do with me. And I'm at that point now, and I've been at that point for a long time, where I've been thinking, analyzing myself, watching. I've been quiet for a long time with people. I've been quiet. I've been more processing, more watching, more feeling a lot, and allowing myself to feel. And I've gone on major roller coasters of emotions, not in the sense that I've been erratic, but I have been learning to allow my emotions to come through and not let them. I've been giving myself the space that it doesn't impact my life and all people around me, for that matter. So I'm not acting on my emotions, I'm just feeling them, but I'm more often than not able to go out into the world around me in a way that I appear normal or healthy or stable or happy. So the fact that I received this message and I realized that I'm not living my truth is because I realized that why is it okay that I'm now allowing somebody to tell me how I am? Now I'm no longer in a point where I retaliate and I respond and I react, but I'm going, hang on a minute, this is the last time that somebody tells me something so prophesizing over my life directly to me, and that it's okay. And it's not okay. It's not okay to tell me that. It's not okay to talk to me like that when I haven't been otherwise. And I don't mean otherwise in that moment. Like, we all have a bad day, or we all might, not be exactly on form, and but this is a case where I'm not like that in my life, and I'm not like that with this person. So where is this coming from, and why is it okay that they not only can just tell me that, but tell me that, believe it themselves, and even infiltrate that into their world around them? And that made me feel like I'm not living my truth. It's for the first time that I feel like, hang on a moment, I'm not talking. I haven't been talking. I've been quiet. I've been processing. I've been really, really trying to go on a sort of healing journey for many, many reasons. And I don't know where to start with that, and that's not what's important right now. But it's for me about today I'm tired. When somebody's reached tired point, I think everybody's reached that point at some point in their life. Today I reached the point that I'm tired of allowing somebody to have control over me, or to influence me. Now, that's something I've been grappling with for a long time, but the one thing that I had to always make sure of was that I'm not coming from my ego. Now, the ego can get us all down. The ego, we all have it. Every single human being has an ego side. It's nature, it's natural, we're supposed to have it. But when we don't understand it, and when it's out of balance, obviously it can cause problems. Now, a spiritual journey is really all about letting go of that ego. But remember, the ego is still, I'm going to talk about it a bit like it's the bad guy, but I have to say that the ego is also the good guy. The ego is not all that bad, because the ego helps you to have drive in your life. Ego helps you to want to improve, succeed. It's the fire in your belly as well. Or should I say, it puts the fire in your belly, not is the fire in your belly. But it's the ego is very healthy. There's a place for it, and that's why it's part of our human character. But the side of the ego that I want to talk about, and I'm not now talking about the negative side where, that guy's got such an ego. And it's normally guy because it's generally quite a masculine energy. But it's we all got it, and we all have both our masculine and feminine energies anyway. So the ego, it's not about it being the good guy or the bad guy, but the ego, in my mind, what I've been trying to process is making sure when I say I don't want something to come from my ego, it means I don't want to be defensive. I don't want to, that's your ego speaking. When somebody blames you for something, or somebody looks at you a certain way, has a perception of you, or makes a judgment on you, you don't want to say, well, that's not me. I don't want them to think that about me. I don't want to be reactive, because that would be coming from my ego. So I have been on that journey for quite some time, because the reason why is I was in a situation where I was dealing with a very, very overpowering ego, and but it's not about that. It's about that situation caused me to believe that it was actually my ego. So it's not that it was actually the situation and the ego around that. It was that I thought it was me. So I've been making sure, not making sure that it wasn't me, but learning what was my ego and what wasn't, and really, really trying to understand that. And the summary of that basically is that it was both, definitely. If I can say, the problem wasn't my ego, but because I was made to believe that it was mine, I also downplayed my ego a lot, and then I also had to defend my ego a lot. So I was in that constant defense mode, trying to prove that I either wasn't or I was. Stand up for myself, I can stand up for myself, or I don't want to stand up for myself because then I'm proving myself too much. So nevertheless, I went through a lot of that. So when I got out of that situation, it was one of the things that I've been working on the whole time, trying to understand, what is the ego? What do we really let go of? And take that attachment to an idea, to an attachment of self, attachment of the way that we define ourselves, or the way that we, there's a saying that goes around that we are not what we think we are. We are what we think you think we are. So it's actually supposed to be in the I, in the first person. So, I am not what I think I am, but I am what I think you think I am. And that is a very good statement to constantly help try and unpack that. What do I think I am? What do I think you think? And it's so easy just to say, oh, don't. It doesn't matter what anybody thinks of you. Of course it matters to us. It only stops mattering when you truly understand where it is coming from. Why is that person thinking something of you? Why does it matter? Why doesn't it? Why does it matter if it does? And why doesn't it matter if it doesn't? So it's some things do matter and some things don't. The things that will matter is because they are triggering you for something, and the reason why they are triggering you for something is because that's the thing that you're trying to heal. And if it doesn't bother you, well, that's what we want to strive to feel, but that's not always the case. That's not the truth. So, for example, why I am now talking is because it is the last time that somebody has actually told me something like that I have worked so hard on. I don't have a negative energy, but I don't have to prove that I don't. I don't have a negative energy, but I don't have to also claim that I have a positive energy. I don't have to compensate. I'm actually just pretty normal. And when I say pretty normal, I just mean, I got a good energy. But hey, maybe I do have bad days. But I don't have to justify that because I haven't had bad days with this person for a long time. It's not something that's in my world, so why are we talking about it? But it's for the last time that I'm going to accept that that something can be said about me, infiltrated into the outside world, and I'm just going to keep swallowing it and saying it's okay. It's okay for you just to, it's okay. It's not about you and what you say. It's about, what do I say? What do I say for myself? Done too much work. I've done too much work not to share it. It's not about explaining and describing a situation of who's right and wrong. There's no right and wrong. There's my truth and your truth. So my truth is I am what I am today. I am what I am today. I'm not self-righteous. I'm not perfect. I have made mistakes. I have really, really, really made mistakes. But I'm on a quest in life. I don't know why I am. I just am. I'm on a quest. I've come through a lot, and I'm on a growing quest. I'm on a growth quest. So the soul, how I live my life is to say to myself that, okay, what am I missing here? What do I need to learn? Why am I feeling like this? Geez, I can feel down. I can feel sad. I can feel broken. I can feel pain. I can feel anger. I can feel unjustness. I can feel all these things, and I go, but why? I mean, I don't want to feel like that, but I can't just shut it down and say, well, I don't want to feel like that. I am feeling it. So why am I feeling it? Because it's only going to stir up those feelings in me if it means something, if there's something I need to heal there. So I've learned that I've had quite a lot of, you know, and I'm sure I speak for every single person, but you know, I've had quite a lot of negative experiences in my life. But when I talk about a negative experience, I don't talk about it as, you know, something happened to me. I had something bad happen to me. I'm saying I had a negative experience. It was negatively experienced by me. It brought tears, it brought pain, but it doesn't mean that it was from the outside. It doesn't mean that somebody did something to me. It's just a negative experience. I've had some really bad things, situations happen that were not pleasant to deal with. And, you know, I have learned from them. Not, to stay away from a type of person like that or a situation like that, but I've learned from them. I've learned, why did that happen? Not happen to me, but why did it happen? And the reason why it happened, everything, I'm talking about any negative experience, the reason why any negative experience happened is because it came from me. It came from me, and it transpired in my outside environment. So it transpired in the situation around me. The people around me were part of that, where they were, you know, they were having the same situation. So in other words, if I take this conversation out of my space and immediately go into another person's space and say, they also had a negative experience, because if I'm having a negative experience, so are they, you know, because you don't cry alone, you know, or you don't fight alone. If I'm having a negative experience, so are they, and the same applies to them. So they're also creating this. They also have something in it that they are sharing, being, and so regardless of whose fault anything is, it's not about faults. It's about you matching each other. You're actually matching each other. You're both fighting. You're both allowing. Now, let me just have a little small side note about this. This would not be the case when somebody shouted on the road rage, and you had the feeling of, oh gosh, they're having a bad day. I don't want to be involved, and you drive away calmly and you go, that's not for me. You know, that is just a moment of showing you that you have compassion. But when somebody else is having road rage and then you react, you're matching them. You're also the same as them. You are in that space as well. And And so when you're having a negative experience, so is the other person. And you are just as in it as they are, and they are in it just as much as you are. It's basically what I'm trying to say. So when I have these negative experiences, or when have had them, and this takes a lot of processing. I have really taken the time to unpack these things and go through the motions of it, and feel very deeply about things. And the how can I say, the types of, it's easy to sit here and talk about it calmly. It's easy to just make it seem like it was a walk in the park. It wasn't that. It was anything but a walk in the park. But what I've learned was that every time I was processing these negative experiences, I was trying to go back to saying, but were you in your ego? Like, were you in your ego mind? Or and then I learned so much. I thought, yeah, in that situation, actually, I felt unworthy, and I had to prove myself. And I felt, I don't know, whatever particular situation that was. So why I'm trying to touch on that is because when I talk about making mistakes it's so human. It's so, like, none of us get off the hook of that. Like, every person is going to make mistakes, and I'm not talking small ones, I'm talking big mistakes. It might not have happened to you yet, and it's very hard to generalize, but mistakes are part of life. And when a negative experience happens to you, and a mistake, I've got to, and you eventually reach the point of having evolved from it. You can't go back to that mistake. Like, you can't. You will only go back to that mistake if you kind of like didn't, they say, get the lesson. But it's like, no, you just didn't get it. You didn't like understand why that happened. That's why it repeats. But when you get it, you understand, why did I do that? Why did I get myself into that situation? Why did I react to that person? Why did I allow that person into my life? What was I going through? Where was I in my life when I was experiencing that? Then you start the forgiveness. Like, okay, I know why. Of course I acted like that. This is what I was feeling. This is what I'm experiencing. This is where I was short of something. And that's where the growth is. I was depleted of something. I was short of something. Something was missing. There was something that I didn't understand. And at first, you might want to blame your parents, because, when you start going through these things, you might say, it depends where you start your journey and how you do, but you might feel, well, why didn't anybody teach me this when I grew up? Then I wouldn't have to be going through this. It's my parents' fault. But basically, you get to the point where you realize, at what point, is it going to be, at what point, at what point do I just take responsibility instead of blaming? Instead of saying, well, I was misfortunate because they didn't teach me this. Why didn't anybody tell me? So when I made the switch, once upon a time, that no, it doesn't matter, because it's going to be different for everyone. So I'm just going to have to accept that it's my responsibility. It's my responsibility. They break that word down. It's your ability to respond. It's my ability to respond to the situation and say, actually, you know what? That is why I'm going through this. I'm going to take the opportunity in this. I'm going through this because there's something I have to learn. So what is it? It's a process, of course. It's not something that you just happens overnight. But then you realize, oh, this is why, and then you get it. When you get it, you heal, you learn, you grow, and you say, well, that's not happening to me again. Well, that's not coming into my life again. I'm not going to have that negative experience again. Sometimes you may have it more than once, but that's not the point. So it's realizing it's my responsibility. So what I'm trying to say today is that I have taken so much responsibility for my life, okay? I'm not perfect. There's so many things that I don't see, that I don't get, that I don't understand. But I'm seeking, and it's a never-ending journey. I'm never gonna stop seeking. I'm never gonna reach perfection, but I'm reaching healing. I'm reaching a lot of like I'm just sorting out a lot of things, as normal things, like not because I'm so messed up or anything like that, because I'm not so messed up. It's just that when negative experiences happen to me, I'm taking the lessons from them, I'm processing them, I'm learning, I'm growing, and I'm learning something about myself each time. And that is what I call humbling. Like, yeah, maybe it's me. Not the whole situation is you, not that it's your fault, but how did I contribute? Because the fact that I was just in the situation means I was a contributor to it. So I can't look at the other people around me. I can't look at the situation. That's none of my business. All I can do is say, how did I contribute? What is going on with me? What can I change? Because that is where your power is. When you realize that you can actually change something about yourself or the situation grow, you realize that you have power. So it's not about every time something goes wrong, putting a little black tick next to your name and saying, oh, you're wrong there. It's about saying, oh, well, if now I understand the situation, now I understand what I was going through, so therefore it's not going to happen again. Or it's like you reached a milestone. You've grown, you've elevated, you've leveled up. You can't go back there. You're no longer that person because you've evolved and you've escalated. So and this is why this message kind of got me thinking, is that somebody's saying I'm negative, cool, whatever. Like, I don't think that. But it's not about, oh, I don't care what you think. It's about, hang on, it's now my responsibility. It is actually my responsibility to take this situation, that now negative situation, and say, how am I going to respond? How I'm going to respond is, it means I'm not talking my truth. It means I'm not living my truth. It means that it's not okay now where I am at to allow somebody to keep putting me in a little box somewhere and taking that box and showing the world who I am. It's my responsibility to show the world who I am. And how I'm going to do that is just be very honest about who I am. And who I am is not a perfect person. It's as simple as that. It's just not a perfect person. I'm full of mistakes. I've made mistakes, but I have learned from them. I'm not the same person that made those mistakes. I'm going to make more mistakes and I'm going to evolve more, because I can only grow in life. And I've got this many sayings, but one of the sayings that I don't never settle. Never settle, never get into a comfortable place and say, I'm good here. No, there will always be something that I wish to break through. It's in my nature. It's just kind of like my purpose here is like, I want to break through the next thing. I want to grow. I want to evolve. I want to level up. And it's not because I'm not good enough. It's just because I see. When I see, and I can't unsee it, and when you run, you get stronger. And when you're strong enough to run a certain distance, you want to run more. You want to run even stronger. You want to evolve. And I'm like that spiritually. You reach a certain point and then you want to get stronger. So I want to get stronger every time. I want to speak my truth. I'm tired of people looking at me with the same eyes that they that they looked at me a while ago, because they don't know me anymore. And I've got so much to share. It's about sharing. It's always been about sharing, because that's what we're here on earth for, you know, to share our experiences. Some people have something to share. Some people want to be receptive of somebody sharing. I certainly have been on the receiving end of people sharing, and I think I've got a lot to share. I've got a lot to share. I've got a lot to say, and I'm going to speak my truth, because today is the last time that somebody else speaks my truth for me.